If you could go back 3 years from today, what would you change about yourself? Many of you would slap some sense into yourself. Like, yo bro, why are you wasting your time on gaming? Like, what are you doing with your life? You cringe at the fact that you spent so much time wasted doing useless things. You cringe at the way you walked, the way you talked, the way you acted. Now I want you to think about this. Is your future self 5 years from now looking down at you right now in the same way? Is that version of you saying, oh, I should have taken what these guys were saying in these self-improvement videos and actually applied it, actually used it in my life rather than just use them as knowledge that I probably won't even use until I reach that time? The best investment you will ever come across is yourself. I dedicated to only satisfying my future self with delayed gratification. I thought, what would my 20-year-old self want from me? And I thought of it. I wrote it down. I thought, okay, he would want a better body, a better physique. He'd want to be good athletically. He'd want good grades in school. He'd want good SAT scores. He'd want close friends. And all of this stuff is something I could work towards. Now, you might be able to relate to this, but 3 years ago, I was in my room, on my computer, grinding Fortnite. And the 15-year-old me looks back at that and I'm like, what? Why? Why'd I put all my effort into moving a mouse and pressing keys fast? What were these virtual achievements going to do for me? Why didn't I take this time and start reading, start working out, start doing something that would have benefited me? You would want your future self to be grateful for what you're doing right now. Because back then you didn't think of this. Back then you were just living life as what came to you. You just went with the flow. The water flowed, you followed. You did not go the other direction, because the other direction is where the gold is. You were searching for the fool's gold down the stream, which everyone went down. But the real gold, the ones that would reward you in the future massively, are the ones on the other side of the stream. You might have heard of this yourself. You see people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, they're like, oh, I wish I spent my time in my teens, my 20s so much better. I could have done this and that better. Why didn't I do it? Why did I waste my time doing these useless things? They understand that regret is only something the prospective can avoid, and I'm going to help you become prospective. So let's go back to that example of you going back 3 years. What would you have told them to start improving? What would you have told them to not do to start? I'm not talking one-time things. Like I'm not talking one-time things. Maybe that one time you went to go play basketball and broke your leg, bro. Not that. I'm talking habits that could have helped you now. Something that you could have established then that takes a really long time to grow. Imagine where you'd be today if you just told them that and they followed through with it. Now sure, there's gonna be some guy who can say, oh, I wouldn't be where I am today. Now sure, you can say, oh, but I am who I am today because I did what I did in the past. Yeah, sure, where are you today? You're watching self-improvement videos to cope with your productivity that you think you're making, but in reality, you're not making any progress at all. We want our current self to feel pleasure. You want to go out, you want to go to the parties. You want to skip your homework. You don't want to meditate. You don't want to work out. You want to feel happy right now. Why would you sacrifice your happiness now for something in the future? Would anyone do that? Of course not. This instant gratification cycle of getting happy over and over has become a habit in our daily lives. And it often sacrifices our growth in the future. Now, does that make any sense? The stuff that makes you happy now sacrifices your future. How does that work? Well, you're probably going to be in the future if you didn't take any action on this video. You're going to look back in this moment and be like, oh, why didn't I follow through with what Benit said? You might not remember this exact video, but there's going to be things that you're going to regret. I can assure that. But are you going to limit that regret? Are you going to make that regret so minuscule that you're actually going to be overpowered by the amount of good things that you started at this age? It's odd because you watch self-improvement videos like this one, and you feel like you're making progression. You feel like you're getting somewhere, right? But in reality, you're not really doing anything. You're just getting knowledge on something that you probably won't even apply. You will not be able to make progress until you take action. The best thing is that you don't even need to put that much effort into improving yourself. I mentioned this in a video. I talked about how you need to put in minimal effort to just establish a habit, because people do struggle with starting habits. And even doing this habit for 1 minute a day would make your future self so grateful. Take working out, for example. If you started working out today and you started with 5 push-ups and you increased it by 1 push-up every day, in 3 months, just 3 months, you'd be doing 96 push-ups a day. Would your 3-month future version of yourself be happy with you? Will they be grateful that you did that? Of course they would. And this is something your future self will benefit from. Now think about all the habits you can do for just 1 minute a day. And just keep on adding a minute every day. Think about that compounding that happens. You try to do your habits and you feel like you're not making much progress. You feel like, oh, why am I doing this? It's not really changing anything. But once that line starts rising up, it starts going exponentially. That is progress. You will make progress, not from the first 20, 30, 40 times you do it. You'll make progress once you do it for that 100th time. So, are you going to continue living the life that you live right now, indulging in instant gratification and not thinking anything of your future self? Are you going to continue with that horrible posture without working out, having a horrible diet? Or will you take all this time and effort you have and invest it and save it for the future you? Will you take that energy and make your future self so grateful for yourself 5 years from now? Will you be happy with your achievements, the stuff that you did in all of that time? Or will you cringe at the thought of what you did, just like what you're doing now from 3 years back? It's in your hands now. If you feel like you're struggling with finding a purpose or just need someone to talk to, I'm offering free classes in the description below, and we can have a 15-minute chat about anything.